Welcome to our Latin Trails webinar today. We're here to talk about senior citizen travel in the Galapagos and Ecuador. And it is my pleasure to turn it over to Marcel Perkins. He's the general manager at Latin Trails. So, Marcel, over to you.
Hi, Lee. Good morning. Well, good morning, good afternoon. It's midday actually, so it's hard to pinpoint on that. But thank you everyone for joining us. I'm happy to share all this information about senior citizen travel in Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands. As you may know, Latin Trails is a specialist in South America, and we have a strong experience in Ecuador and Galapagos. We've been operating for over 20 years and not just able to present Ecuador and Galapagos, but also present these niche topics and be specialized on different types of travelers and offering something that will ring with them and that will actually help them enjoy a destination that is unique, beautiful, close. We're only right now we're talking from New York. It's a 6 hour direct flight with Avianca, and you have other airlines flying from Miami and other destinations like Houston, and it's 4 to 5 hours only. So we're close. We're in the same time zone, and it's an easy destination to enjoy. So I really wanted to showcase that with seniors. We do have discounts for seniors as well. I'm throwing that out at the very beginning so that we can be attentive on that. And I'm going to go onwards. I'm going to talk a little bit about Ecuador and the Galapagos. Well, Ecuador is one of the smallest countries in South America, and it's made up of four distinctive regions. One of them is the Amazon rainforest, the other is the Andes, the Pacific coast, with 1,000 kilometers of beaches, and the Galapagos Islands. And all these destinations are really close. If you actually wanted to fly from one side of Ecuador to the other, the longest flight is a half hour to 45 minutes. So that's one thing to take into account. And if we would be going by land, it's 18 hours to cover the entire country. And this is really, I mean, going from one edge to the other. And well, a lot of travelers would concentrate on the Andes, the Amazon, parts of the coast, and the Galapagos. So it's easy to do many things in few days and with the least amount of flights or all those transit times and all that. So it allows you to enjoy a lot of unique attractions in a short amount of time without traveling much. So that's one of the big advantages of Ecuador. Now I'm just going to go on with the next slide and a little bit about Latin. We're a business to business company. We focus on creating unique experiences. We have a 24/7 concierge department. So we're looking after our guests throughout their entire trip. Uh, this is a service that is included with all travels. So if we have travelers in the destination, they have missing luggage or they want to hire a nanny, if it's a multifamily trip or they are looking to, meet a specific artist, we can arrange that. Restaurant reservations, we can arrange that, and improve the itinerary as they're going on throughout the country. Because sometimes a traveler decides to come to Ecuador and the Galapagos and they realize that they wanted to stay a little bit longer or there's attractions that they could have included and they didn't think of them. And we can actually improve that itinerary as they're with us. So we're taking care of them throughout the entire trip. That's important to mention. These are exclusive experiences. Our experiences, you cannot really find them online. So that's something that, we create them ourselves, we curate them ourselves, and these are unique. And we're here to tell your story, not to tell our story. We're here to, work with you, work with your clients. We work with agents only and tour operators, and to listen and create the itineraries based on the preference of who's traveling. We have a commitment to excellence. Of course, as I mentioned, 24/7 assistance, the concierge department, our custom itinerary creation, sustainable tourism. We focus on sustainability. Our entire office has been changed now to be solar powered. We do carbon offsets. We have several social and environmental projects ongoing. And this is through your support that we can support the people of Ecuador and other areas of South America. We have real-time availability for cruises in Galapagos cruises in our B2B section, and this is for agents only. Participative tourism, people-to-people experiences. And again, now what we have designed for senior citizens traveling or mature adults traveling to Ecuador and Galapagos. Now, please take into account this also applies for multi-generational families. And we can have activities for the entire family designed based on the ability of each person that is traveling. So low impact activities, easy trails, bird watching, zodiac and boat rides. When you're in Galapagos, a zodiac ride will bring you close to the wildlife without having to really hike that much. We also can choose itineraries. If there's people that have less mobility, we can tailor the itinerary around that. More beach visits, easier walks, and things like that on a hotel-based trip, in the Galapagos, just to give an idea. And the same with the Amazon, we would, help you pick a high water season, and you would have most of your visits on a skiff, which is one of the small expedition. It's like a metal zodiac that goes on the river, and it will bring you under the canopy and close to wildlife. So we can organize these type of activities, cultural activities like cooking classes, nice short walks, and things like that that would actually bring our travelers that want to enjoy these unique locations without having to have a stressful moment or having high impact activities. Specialized guides, resting time in between excursions, medical services. Well, we don't offer medical services per se, but we do have access to the best hospitals in the country. We have a list of approved doctors that work with the main insurance companies. So we're here to offer that type of support in case of an emergency. Socialization, we would be able to organize groups so that they can travelers are not alone and they can be together with other travelers with the same interest. A very strong focus on cultural experiences and interacting with other people, flexible itineraries, luxury transport, gastronomic experiences, and exclusivity by private guides and transportation. Some of the activities I like to mention about what we do is, in Quito, we have a trip that's called the Six Senses, where we go hands-on visiting local artists. That's why we say here the espumilla experience. It's a local dessert, so we learn to prepare it and share it with our guests. Or the pacatoquilla experience. Here you'll learn to weave a straw hat, and we'll get into the details with these through photos, and I'll show you what they're like. In the Galapagos, of course, snorkeling, kayaking, hiking, cooking classes, yoga, on board the different yachts, scuba diving, photography. Depending on the level of ability of each guest, we can tailor things out. And again, in the Amazon, we have a yoga, the chess experience where we have chess competitions at the lodges, canoe excursions, workshops with the communities, nature hikes, but also exploring the canopy. And as I mentioned, glamping, you have some really interesting lectures, dining experiences, and skiff rides, as I mentioned. And it's a small country, and it's been named a UNESCO Heritage Site, actually the first city to be named that. It's a city that offers a lot of unique viewpoints and cultural experiences. But what we like to do a lot in Quito is a lot of hands-on things, and we're going to get into details there. But I'm going to start by letting you know that we have a small hotel in Quito. It's a 10-room property, Ila Experience Hotel. This is located in the old town of Quito, in the San Marcos district. This is an area that is residential, meaning there's families living next door, but also part of the UNESCO Heritage Area. We have 3 different museums on the same block and a lot of activities there. Now, everything in the hotel is handmade. For example, the rugs in the rooms were made in a small town called Guano. The designs behind the bedpost, and these are a pattern from the different churches of Ecuador that were replicated by a carpenter. When we minimized them, we took pictures of the ceilings with the family, and then we had them minimized by a carpenter and placed, as part of the design of the room. So everything's been sourced in that way. It's a family property. There's a spa. There's a small pool area that's a heated pool in Quito. So it's an area to relax as well and enjoy the views of the city. We do have, as I mentioned, we do have a spa. It's an Andean style spa with different treatments. And we have a project called Nests. So I want our guests to know that they're supporting local culinary talent by visiting Ila and or traveling with Latin Trails. Through this project, we host young culinary talent at the hotel, and they work with our chef, not learning to cook, but to learn to manage a luxury restaurant. And they have a full scholarship for that. So they stay with us for 6 months. They have full board and they have a salary during that time. Now, every 2 years, we choose one of the members of the community out of our alumni, and together with a group of other restaurateurs, we build a restaurant in that community. So just so you know that you're actually supporting different local people in that sense. Now, being in the neighborhood like San Marcos, as I mentioned, we have several experiences. At Ila alone, we have 40 different experiences for our guests. And one of the key elements of the hotel is that, by staying there, your guests get to participate in a different experience every day, and it's included in their stay. So, for example, the espumilla experience. It's a local pastry. local dessert that Miss Gladys, one of our neighbors, actually comes to the hotel and prepares it together with our guests. Here, they had a short walk to the San Marcos Plaza, which is right next to half a block from the hotel. And guests get to actually be part of the neighborhood and interact with our neighbors. So that's one of the things. Now, this is not only something we offer at ILA, but as Latin trails throughout Ecuador and through other areas of South America as well. Watercolor experience, painting on the rooftop, the different scenes of Quito with an expert there, or the straw hat weaving experience. So as you can see, these are experiences that can be that can anyone can participate in. They're for all levels, and it's an interaction with local culture. Of course, throughout the city of Quito, we have other areas, not just San Marcos, but for example, in other parts of the old town, we have experience working with metal. Um, we have different the canelazo experience. Here we have a tasting of the different versions of a cinnamon drink from Ecuador, or a cooking class, making local pastries or desserts, yoga lessons, or just the experience of participating with local people in a yoga class. A chocolatier experience, making your own chocolate from the bean to the bar. And Ecuador is famous for having the best chocolate in the world. It has to do with the cocoa beans. They grow at different altitudes, and cocoa is like wine. It absorbs the aromas and the flavors from whatever has been planted next to it. So this is also another unique experience. And nearby Quito, for example, we have the Avenue of the Volcanoes, and here's one of the volcanic areas, the Antisana volcano. We have a lookout, and you can spot condors here flying above. And again, these are easy trails. We don't do anything that would be really extremely difficult if travelers are not inclined to that. Um, this is an hacienda near Quito, near the Cotopaxi volcano. It's called the San Agustin de Cayo, and it was built by the Augustine monks in the 1500s, and it still has Inca stones in some of the rooms and in the dining room. So this is another experience that we can share with our guests. Mindo, it's an area in the cloud forest, great bird watching. If you like hummingbirds, or you can have a chocolate experience there because there's also different chocolate from different altitudes. And as I said, here's the bird watching, looking at the hummingbirds. There's gardens that have hundreds of them flying around, floating around, not just hummingbirds, but tanagers and other species. On a on a bird watching trip, actually, in these areas, you have a list of about 400 species that could be spotted throughout a week, between spotting and listening to and identifying with specialist guides. This is a luxury lodge in the cloud forests of Ecuador, Maspi Lodge. Again, it has fine dining and unique trails, and actually, these are easy walks, and everything can be tailored, to the ability of our travels. Otavalo is an area that is the Lake District, but also has all the arts and crafts from the northern part of Ecuador. And the largest indigenous market in South America, artisan market, is Otavalo. So it can be explored by our guests, experiencing barter, looking at the different souvenirs, but also interacting with locals. Horseback riding, staying at historic haciendas like Suleta with its own condor project. It has a rehab project for condors. There's a cheese factory, and you can pair it up with local wines from South America. Uh, Other areas of Ecuador, Cuenca. The city of Cuenca is actually home to over 7,000 expats from in North America, both US and Canada. Um, and these expats are actually retirees that live in Cuenca because it's such a beautiful city that you can walk around it for days. And a lot of cultural activities. Uh, Again, this is where most of the straw hats of Ecuador are made, so you can meet several weavers. Small hotels like Itza, this is a boutique property, right 1 block from the main plaza. So this is, again, you're right in the middle of everything in an area that's easily walkable. The Amazon rainforest. The Amazon is really one of the largest wildlife areas on the planet, and to know it is to love it, and to love it will help us protect it a lot more. By visiting the Amazon, you are supporting different lodges that are preserving areas. This is one of the luxury lodges, La Selva Lodge. It has its own, this protected pool area that was just recently inaugurated on an oxbow lake in the Amazon. The rooms are very spacious and comfortable. Fine dining. You have a yoga lessons. You have a spa as well. We have canoe rides, kayaking, and these are activities for all ages. Visiting local communities and learning how they live in the rainforest. Stargazing, of course, and this is going to be found throughout several areas of our trips because we have areas with clear skies and no light pollution. So we can really enjoy the southern skies. Well, actually being in Ecuador, you can see both. So that's one of the advantages of being at the equator. Nighttime canoe excursions, another lodge that's beautiful, Napa Wildlife Center, again with unique astronomy, engagement with the local community. It is entirely run with the local community. So we have workshops with the local people from the Quechua tribe that are part there, from the Anyangu community. Observation hikes, canopy towers, Sacha Lodge is another beautiful lodge in the Amazon. Um, you have the different, observation towers. There's a different ways to explore the canopy above from, on a crate that brings you up, and you're up above you don't have to hike up, the canopy walkway. So again, photography, Amazon cruises for travelers that don't like being, inside the bush. You can board a cruise that is air conditioned and will take you throughout the different areas of the Amazon, exploring on smaller ships as well, on the skiffs, dining experiences with local chocolate, glamping in the Amazon, and everything is catered for and taken care of for. So this is the type of travel lectures with people from the local indigenous tribes. This is a Kofan gentleman. He's from one of the Amazon tribes that is actually they build the skiffs for the ships that are navigating the Ecuadorian Amazon out of recycled plastic. So that's one of the projects that again is supported by this type of travel. And of course, the Galapagos Islands. The Galapagos Islands are one of the most famous areas of Ecuador. There's two main ways of traveling around Galapagos, and one of them is hotel based. So you would stay at a hotel on one of the islands, inhabited islands like Santa Cruz, San Cristobal, Floriana, or Isabela, and then you do day trips there. You can take a few days in between as well, like a beach day, taking it off, enjoying the local attractions up the same island without navigation. So, and go at a slower pace. So this is ideal for travelers of all ages, actually. And of course, what you'd find in Galapagos is endemic wildlife, animals you find nowhere else on the planet, unique landscapes. And this is one of the small yachts. For example, the Seaman Journey. Um, these are specifications that we'll be sharing with you, but everything on board is biodegradable. Gives you a layout of the cabins. There's 8 cabins for 16 people only, so it's small, intimate. And here you can see, the size of the cabins. You can fit your own luggage in there. You don't have to worry about, not bringing all your luggage if you're going onwards after the Galapagos to another destination that you have an open jaw flight or something like that. You don't have to worry about that. You have enough space in the cabins. For multi-family trips, with grandparents traveling with their grandchildren, we can put a sofa bed in the cabins as well. They all have private facilities, closet space. These are our main deck cabins. We can accommodate them as twins or as matrimonial. This is the social area. We have family style dinners. Now, this is a sample of yachts, one of the yachts. There's several other yachts of different categories that we work with, but to give you an idea, this is where we would give the briefings. We have implemented citizen science on board, and I'll get a little bit more specific on that. This is our outdoor dining area on the Seaman Journey, and the sun deck. As you can see, these are all areas to enjoy and relax while you're navigating around the islands. You have an outdoor bar area, a cruise director. This is our gastronomic experience. We can cater to all diets, celiac, gluten-free. We do cater to kosher diets. We also have one of the most important things on board the Seaman Journey is also that we have an organic produce farm on San Cristobal Island. We source all our greens from there. This way, we don't have to bring anything from mainland Ecuador, and this avoids us bringing introduced species into the islands, but also allows us to have farm-to-table food on board our yacht. And then activities are included is our kayaking, nature hikes, where you get really close to the wildlife. You're always in company of a naturalist guide. As I said, we can help choose the right trails. And if there's areas where a hike is difficult, we'll have an alternative activity like a zodiac ride, some snorkeling or kayaking, cooking classes on board the yachts. This is the zodiac ride, so you'd actually really are able to explore the different areas without having to have a strenuous hike. So it's open for all abilities. A nice walk on the beach with the sea lions, watching the blue-footed boobies perform their mating dance, sending a postcard from the post office parents in Florida, and you place your postcard there, and it'll arrive at your house eventually. One of the travelers that lives nearby will deliver it, and that's one of the really fun things to do in the Galapagos. Photography excursions, being close to unique wildlife, lava fields. Again, these hikes, there's different levels, so we can plan it. conservation at the Interpretation Center, learning, how tortoises are being restored, yoga lessons on board the decks of the different yachts, and our citizen science program. This is on board the Seaman Journey. We're one of the pioneers for this. We do whale counts with Happy Whale, and we share this with the scientific community. Also, we have a garbology project that is related to ocean debris and plastic found in the ocean, and we account for it. We remove it, of course, but we also share it with the scientific community. So these are studies that we participate in, and our guests get to be interactive with the scientific community. And this is a little bit, more about the citizen science programs and all that. Basically, with the Happy Whale, just to give you an idea, our guests would interact, take photos of the whales, we upload them to the scientific community, and we'd get feedback and about the whale we've identified, and we can share. We would learn about the migration pattern of that specific whale if it's been to Antarctica and it's going up, to Alaska during seasons, and the migratory pattern is through the Galapagos, and the scientific community can track it a little bit better with that information that we are sharing. And then this is Karen, our first mate on board. So we have a dedicated crew, as I mentioned, gastronomic experiences. These are the itineraries. So, and itineraries on the different boats are actually quite similar. In the case of the Seaman, this is a sample. So, for example, 4 nights going to the northern islands of the Galapagos. Highlights here, for example, Bartolome Island with the snorkeling there, and the different activities, or Genovesa Island where you can spot the red-footed booby and other activities. North Samer, which is and South Plazas here on the left, and North Samer on the right, where you can spot the blue-footed booby dancing. Then you have the itinerary, the 5-day, 4-night in the Southern Islands. And here we explore Española, where you have the waved albatros. It's the only place in the world where they nest. Punta Pete, where you find the 3 types of boobies, red-footed, blue-footed, and Nazca boobies. And then the Western Islands, 6 nights, 7 days, where we would explore Fernandina Island, find the flightless cormorant, penguins, and different wildlife that is varies between islands. Now, we do have a promotion for seniors, as I mentioned, 5% off on all departures from September through 20 through December 15th, and January 8th through March 30, 2026. This is an additional 5% on top of the commission that we would regularly give. Other ships that we work with, and as I mentioned, the Aquamare, this is a luxury ship that was built in Italy, and it has a really beautiful design. The Hermes, which was recently launched a couple days ago, it's a 20-passenger catamaran. This is an ultra luxury yacht in the Galapagos. It has 10 cabins for 20 people. You have a private balcony in each cabin. Each cabin has its own hot tub. There's a butler service, and there's a hammam-style spa on board. Elite. This is a catamaran that was built in Guayaquil. Again, you can see spacious areas, private balconies in each cabin, and designs that are locally done by carpenters, actually from Guayaquil. So every small yacht in the Galapagos is part of a micro-entrepreneur project and belongs to a local family. And it's been handmade. Everything here is handmade. These are not, there's not large shipyards, but it's very artisan style design. But you can see all the comfort levels there, and the different types of exploration. Again, Santa Cruz. Now, for island-based exploration, we're talking about hotel-based trips. Well, this is an idea of what you'd find on Santa Cruz Island. You have the Charles Darwin Research Center, North Samer, Bartolome are visitor sites nearby, and lodges. Well, where would you stay if you're staying on the islands? Well, Picaya Lodge is one of the options. It's right by a volcanic crater. It's one of the top luxury lodges. It's a Bertoso property. We have 2 ways of working, as we could do it as a cruise extension or a full program with Picaya, and they have a private yacht. Montemar, this is another beautiful property that regenerated the highlands where they are, their patch of forest. They replanted native trees, and now they have tortoises roaming the property again. So this is in the highlands. And again, it's family friendly for all ages. Organic cuisine there. The Galapagos Safari Camp. This is a tented camp in the highlands of Santa Cruz Island. And again, we can organize the excursions from here. Family friendly for all ages. Finch Bay, it's an oceanfront property that has, it's right at one of the beaches across the bay from Puerto Llora, the main town in the Galapagos. And again, excursions can be organized from here. Private villa experiences as well. Like Villa Scalesia, we would cater with a local chef and have all the staff there. And we would have a private dock for excursions onto the yachts. Other islands, Isabela Island. This is the largest island. And then you have unique visitor sites there like the Flamingo Lagoon, the Sierra Negra Volcano, Tintoreras Lake, and lodges like Scalesia, Iguana Crossing right at the beachfront. And again, San Cristobal Island, another island for hotel-based trips where you have Kicker Rock, great snorkeling there. You have the visit to Hispaniola on a day trip, Punta Pete. And again, you can have there's oceanfront properties like Golden Bay or Indigo Hotel. Now, you can have a day trip, going out to Hispaniola, but the next day you take a day off and you enjoy a beach day. So that way you can go at your own pace and everything is customized. Exploring the cloud forest with giant tortoises, finding the way the albatross nesting sites, snorkeling with sea lions. Again, these are activities for all ages. We have romantic experiences like, dinner inside the lava tunnels on Santa Cruz Island, a beach day at Tortuga Bay, or hiking to the world's largest crater at Sierra Negra volcano. Of course, this is a different ability that is needed. You have to be very active to this excursion. But again, we have a variety of excursions depending on levels. Or exploring the shark nursery at Tintoreras Island. You don't have to snorkel with them. You can see them actually from a nice spot on the land. And there's other areas where you can snorkel with them. And again, travel tips for seniors in Ecuador. Well, we really like to recommend traveling between June and September for mild weather. Beginning of December has less crowds too. September is a great month. We're happy to extend our promotions, beyond the dates that we mentioned earlier. Um, Sturdy non-slip shoes, light clothing, the less you pack, the easier it's going to be. I mean, you don't have to be carrying that many things around. Layers is important, staying hydrated, and take it slow your first day in Quito. We're at 2,800 feet, 50 meters of altitude. If you take it slow the first day, you drink a lot of water, you eat light, and you go to bed early, you will be able to adapt to the altitude, and we'll pace it out. We're not going to have any strenuous activities the first days. We're here to support guests, traveling, and so those are the main tips. Now, for activities in the Amazon and Galapagos, good mobility is important. But again, we have excursions that are a little bit easier than others. So we have different levels of activities. Then, as an operator, I just wanted to remind you that we also have offices in Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina, and we offer trips to Antarctica. We've recently become the representatives of a new fleet. There's been a few buyouts in the industry, and now we represent the Ocean Albatross, the Ocean Victory, Sea Venture, and Ocean Nova for cruises to Antarctica departing out of Ushuaia. We also offer the option of fly cruises out of Chile, where you'd fly to King George Fifth Island and you can board the expedition ship there, skipping the Drake Passage. So that's a little bit about Latin trails, what we can offer. And again, this is an offering, catered that we can cater to our lovely senior travelers and multifamily groups. And I'd like to know if you have any
Thank you,
questions.
Marcel. We do have a few questions, and I want to invite the audience. Now is the time to send your questions in. So look for the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen below the slide, and you will see that you have access to that Q&A box. So, Marcel, we did have a question that came in early on, and it was about guests with limited walking ability. So can you just recap for us, how mobile do you have to be to travel to this destination?
Okay, well, all right. There's going to be certain hikes where you're going to have to be able to, be able to walk unassisted, maybe 2 kilometers. That's about a mile and a little bit over a mile. So about a mile and a half unassisted without, having to sit down and all that. That's what you have to take into account. And this is in certain spots of the Galapagos or the Amazon. Now, we do have the possibility of having walking poles and things like that. But again, you will be walking. For example, there are some hikes that are on lava, or there is some, hills. But those are not all the excursions on an itinerary. And if you do a hotel-based itinerary, we will exclude those visits. So, for example, if somebody doesn't have that much mobility, and they want to visit the Galapagos, they can stay on Santa Cruz Island in the highlands. We would go visit the giant tortoises. This is practically a farm. It's flat. You don't have to hike any hills there or anything, and you can go very slow and just walk around the tortoises. They don't move. You don't have to have a specific ability there. Other visits would be navigation to North Samer Island. It's a dirt trail. It's nice, soft trail. Just getting out of the Zodiac and all that. We always offer assistance, getting on the island. Once you're there, it's like a walk. It's a very nice, soft, and easy walk. Another visitor site would be, for example, Santa Fe, which is a short navigation from Santa Cruz Island. Santa Fe is also a nice easy. Also have nice snorkeling in the bay, and it's calm waters. It's easy to swim there. You can also, when you're snorkeling, you can use the life vest, so you don't have to be worrying about that. And there's always a Zodiac, with the guide there, and the crew are always, circling around the group, making sure that everybody's okay. There to offer assistance. There is sit on top sea kayaks that can be used there in that area as well. So these are excursions that are easy to take, or like visiting the Charles Darwin Station, where you do have giant tortoises there and other species. Visiting a beach like Tortuga Bay, there's two ways of getting to Tortuga Bay. You can walk from Santa Cruz, from Puerto Llora. It's a little bit over a kilometer. It's about an hour hike, but you can also go by boats. And we would go around and land in the what we call the peaceful part of the beach, which is a soft water beach. It's inside a bay, and you can reach it there without having to hike. And at the beach, you would enjoy spotting marine iguanas, different seabirds, finches. There's the possibility of spotting, sea turtles nesting, and all this unique wildlife. So these are activities that can be done without strenuous hikes. In the Amazon, for example, as I mentioned, when you're going to a place like Napa Wildlife Center, for example, there is a canoe ride where you're going for 2 hours under the canopy, and you're just paddling through. The guide is paddling through. You just have to sit down through it. So these are activities that can be done in that sense. There's visiting a parrot clay lake, which is not a strenuous hike either. Some of the canopy towers that have to be walked up, but for example, if you're interested in the canopy, Sacha Lodge, as I showed, has a crane, and that'll bring you up into the canopy without having to walk, without having to hike. So these are easier activities, and we can plan the entire itinerary, based on the levels of mobility. Now, there in the Galapagos, we do have the possibility of having floating wheelchairs as well. So that's also for water activities. We do have those available in the Galapagos, and there's easy trails that can be accessed in that sense. But we would have to organize the itinerary, and then travelers are on a cruise itinerary. You'd say, okay, yes, I'm on the yacht, and we're going to a visitor site where there's a strong hike. Okay, well, that hike you can sit out, and you could take a Zodiac ride around, the different cliffs and spotting the marine life that are there, because half the wildlife you're going to spot is on a Zodiac actually. So these are not difficult activities. So for example, if you were to visit Bartolome, there is the possibility of walking on the beach, doing some snorkeling, and then not taking, the hike up to the top of the hill, on Bartolome, but going on a Zodiac ride around the different cliffs and exploring the wildlife there. And actually, the penguins on Bartolome, there's a penguin colony. No guarantees that you'll see it, but you would actually easily spot them from the Zodiac, and not by hiking or by swimming. You'd actually do it from the Zodiac. So just to give an idea of the different wildlife that can be seen on easier activities.
This is great, and it makes me know for sure that this is a perfect destination for multi-generational as well, because it sounds like you can accommodate many different activity levels within the same day. So a family could it certainly enjoy all the different their own abilities and enjoy the destination.
Absolutely, and you'd be surprised how easily experiences can overlap between generations. For example, the watercolor painting experience on at Ila Hotel, on the rooftop, we sit down there and we start doing watercolor painting. Well, there's different abilities, and our artist, that is going to be guiding this experience. He has a lot of experience. My kids, that's how we met them actually when they were little. But also, my late father, he enjoyed watercolor painting, and he would go and paint with him together at several points in time. So these experiences we've tested with our family also. So we know that that everybody can participate and actually enjoys doing them together. And my kids love watercolor painting with my dad. These are things, and these are experiences that we can share with local artists and artisans, and it's an interaction with the local culture. And these are experiences that you not really find, bookable online or anything like that. So you can offer them to your clients. Now, one thing is, we tailor all itineraries. We have two ways. We can send you information, or we can send you net rates, and you can put your own markup on all these trips. We For payments, for example, we take wire transfers, and you can mail us checks, or we would take credit card payments now for travel end as well. So those are options, just to let you know.
Thank you for that. That's great to know. I was going to ask about that. So tell me about groups. What would you say if someone were to put together a group of mature travelers? What would be the maximum number you would recommend?
Well, I mean, we like to have travelers in smaller groups, especially for Ecuador, because since there's a lot of hands-on activities. If we have a larger group, it's harder to offer that. But for groups, we have ballet shows that we can offer for individuals, for example. We could have we can hire a musical ensemble of Andean music and not just that, and we can bring them and they'll show our guests how to play the local instruments, how the instruments are built. And that is a presentation, that we wouldn't be able to offer for maybe a couple because it would be, an entire group of musicians that would be probably a little bit overwhelming on one hand, and probably the price range would not make sense for individuals. So we can offer a lot of nice things for groups. So we try to keep groups, we would say the ideal, if you want to charter a yacht, is 16 guests or less. Because in the Galapagos also, if you're doing a hotel-based trip, the groups that are going to go on the day trip excursions are in groups of 16. So that's kind of like the ideal number. But having said that, we do have a lot of groups that, because we're part of the National Tour Association and other group operator memberships, 60 people, and we can organize the excursions based on that. And it's a different type of activities. We would have ballet shows, folkloric shows, visiting rose plantations where they have a private visit, a curated visit, and everybody gets to have a lecture on that. So and learn about it. So I mean, groups are easily accommodatable within Ecuador. But I would say, anywhere 60 or less is ideal. Now, if you do have a larger group for 100 passengers, we do have contracts with the larger expedition ships that are in the Galapagos Islands. For example, capacity for 90 to 100 passengers, and we can accommodate a full group there with tour leaders and guides that have experience working with senior travelers. And we would pace out all the activities, actually, in that sense. If we're doing a charter, for example, we would pace out all the activities to be, senior friendly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Oh, we have someone asking if you have a contact in New York to book your trips.
Well, our trips are bookable from anywhere. I'm actually I have an office in New Jersey, so we can definitely take the bookings here. Um, and we're able to do that. Now, our travel planners, a lot of our experts are actually living in Ecuador. Some of them are expats that live in Ecuador because they love the country. So, and what better to have somebody that is in destination helping you and but knows how you think because they're expats. So they can plan the itinerary based on, on their knowledge of being, having lived in North America, or having lived in other parts of the world, but also the local knowledge and having hands-on, experience on, knowing which museums are open on each day and details like that, so that everything is really seamless and without any intrusions like. So yes, we do have our U.S. office, and we can take the bookings here as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We had someone asking to pair with Galapagos, is Quito or Guayaquil recommended?
It really depends on traveler preferences. Now, Quito is a city in the Andes, so you have to take into account that there is, you're at 2,800 meters, you're about 9,000 feet. There is the altitude issue, so the first day you're going to take it easy. Uh, but it really is worth it because exploring Quito's a UNESCO Heritage Site city. You have a lot of culture, a lot of the experiences, in the Andes are with people from the Andes, local desserts and gastronomy, visiting, haciendas, the Avenue of the Volcanoes, and all that is really beautiful. And the access to the Amazon is done through Quito because you can go by overland into the Amazon. It's 3.5 hours only, or you could fly in. So it's easy access to most of the attractions around the country. If you're going on a shorter trip, and you're worried about the altitude, you can arrive in Guayaquil. Guayaquil, you have experiences in Guayaquil. For example, you have the Malecón, it's the riverfront, and it's a historic area. You have the Santa Ana Hill, but it's a hillside that you have to walk up. But you have cocoa plantations nearby and all that. and it's a nice destination in that sense. But I think that, if you're on a shorter trip and you're only going to the Galapagos, maybe you might want to go to Guayaquil. It's a you because you'd actually be flying from Guayaquil to the Galapagos. The flight to the Galapagos goes Quito, Guayaquil, Galapagos. Now you don't deboard the train, the airplane in Guayaquil. So you actually are on the same plane throughout the entire trip into the Galapagos. So taking that into account. But if you want to explore a little bit more of Ecuador, I think Quito is the best option because you're closer to all the attractions that you would see. Now we can organize the experiences in Guayaquil, and there's some really good. I mean, Guayaquil has some of the best crab meals anywhere in South America, and because of the nearby mangroves and all that, and these are organically, they're nicely sourced and all that, and it's for foodies, it's a great destination as well. So there is options at both places.
Okay.
It's really about preferences.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Are you with the same guide the entire time?
Yes. In mainland Ecuador, yes. For mainland Ecuador, we would pair our groups and our travelers with a guide. Now, if you are a company that sends tour leaders, we have guides that will have the experience to be a tour leader locally, and that way you don't have to pay the international flight, or they can work alongside with your tour leader. We do both. So now our guides can be tour leaders as well and can accompany the group through the entire country of Ecuador because Ecuador is a small country. So the guides, it's different than other destinations. So the guides can go through all the destinations because they have the experience of having done this week in, week out. Because to be a guide in Ecuador, you have to have a college degree. This is a lot of people do not know. You have to have a 4 years bachelor's degree to be a guide in Ecuador. And we have certified guys that have studied the entire country and have the degrees in that. So this is, it's not, these are not improvised guys. These are guys that have been with us for 20 years. They have loads of experience, but they also have a bachelor's degree. They're constantly studying. So they would actually be able to guide through the entire country of Ecuador. Now, the Galapagos is a different story. You have to have a special permit to guide in the Galapagos. And this is mainly limited to people that have been born in the Galapagos. So the local guide in mainland Ecuador does not go onwards to the Galapagos with travelers. In Galapagos, we have a guide that would be with them the entire time there. If they're doing, for example, a hotel-based trip in Galapagos, we can have the same guide accompany them throughout the excursions if they have everything on a private basis. Now, in the Galapagos also, there are times that we would actually have fixed departures for certain excursions. Then they would have a different guide. If it's a couple traveling and they want to join a fixed departure. Now, if it's a couple traveling, they want to charter the day trip yacht, and they have that type of trip organized, we would have the same guide throughout the entire trip.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Well, that was my last question for you. This has been a wonderful webinar. Let me turn it back to you, Marcel, for any closing comments you'd like to share with the audience.
Thank you very much, Lee. And any questions that have not been answered, if there's something comes up, feel free to reach out, travel@latintrails.com. You can we're also available through social media and through other areas. We're going to be sharing our newly created Facebook group, and that way you can have all your questions there. And we also have training programs so you can become certified in selling Ecuador. We'll be sharing that also with the recording of the webinar to everybody that was here. And for those who missed it, you can share this with them. Feel free to do that. And one thing we also have is we are creating websites for agents where we would have all the product of Ecuador with the online availability, where you can actually decide which product you want to showcase, and we can create an online catalog for you to share with your clients. Now, stay tuned because we're going to have other webinars. We'll be presenting more details about traveling around throughout the Amazon or going onwards to Antarctica as well, and other areas of South America and other niches that we can cover, and how you can tailor, for different types of travelers, your trip to South America, Ecuador, Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, or Argentina. And thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And
Thank you, Marcel. So many nice comments that I will share with you after the webinar. Many compliments on how wonderful the presentation was. So we will make sure we get that replay. As Marcel said, we'll get that recording out to all of you. With that, we'll wish you all a great day and conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everyone.
thank you.